while enforcement applies the law, what happens when there is a dispute or an accusation? Society needs a trusted arbiter to deliver fairness. This leads us to the bedrock of public trust and the fourth pillar, the impartial administration of justice. Let's start with the story of Zhang Shizhi, which tells about the case of the commoner who startled the imperial horse, upholding justice over imperial favor. During the Western Han Dynasty, there was a judicial official named Zhang Shizhi. Throughout the cases he handled, he distinguished himself by his unwavering adherence to the principle of fidelity to the law, never yielding to the will of superiors. In doing so, he established an exemplary standard for the judicial officials to follow. One of the most well-known cases he handled was the case of the commoner who startled the imperial horse. One day, while Emperor Wen of Han was crossing the Zhongwei Bridge, a man suddenly rushed out under the bridge, startling the emperor's horse. Enraged, the emperor had the man seized immediately and commanded Zhang, who was then serving as the highest judicial official, to punish the offender severely. Zhang brought the man to the judicial office and conducted a thorough interrogation. He found that the man had startled the imperial horses out of ignorance and carelessness, with no malicious intent to offend. According to the law at that time, such an offense should be punished with a fine. However, when Zhang reported this verdict to the emperor was deeply dissatisfied. He felt the punishment was too lenient and insisted that a heavier sentence should be imposed to serve as a warning. Zhang then calmly responded, "The law should apply equally to both the emperor and the common people. He should be sentenced to a fine according to the law. If you insist on imposing a heavier punishment without a legal basis, the people will cease to trust the law. Moreover, since you entrusted him to me, the highest judicial official, I must fulfill my duty and uphold fairness for all the people. If I cannot adjudicate this case impartially, the court and the law will lose credibility in the eyes of the people, leaving them in a state of confusion and disappointment. I implore you to consider this carefully." In the end, Emperor Wen accepted the judgment. Zhang's act of defying imperial authority and insisting on a lawful judgment is the most vivid embodiment of impartial administration of justice. No matter how times change, the impartial administration of justice is the crucial line of defense for social fairness and justice. It serves as a benchmark, measuring societal fairness, as well as a beacon guiding people towards justice. Now, let's delve deeper into the rich essence of the impartial administration of justice. We will first examine the essence of impartial administration of justice. Law serves the function of defining rights and resolving disputes, while judicial adjudication plays the role of providing final and authoritative resolution. To comprehensively advance the rule of law, it is essential to uphold impartial administration of justice and make sure that fairness and justice are served in every judicial case. President Xi Jinping emphasized that impartial administration of justice means that infringed rights must be protected and remedied. and unlawful or criminal conduct must be sanctioned and punished. Within efficient enforcement measures, judicial organs constitute the main body of the judiciary. China's judicial organs primarily include the courts and procuratorates. Specifically, impartial administration of justice must be reflected and upheld in both the process and outcomes of judicial activities. It requires that the people's courts ensure equal and due process in judicial proceedings, and that the verdicts manifest fairness and justice. Firstly, judicial procedures must be fair. A well-known legal maxim states, justice must not only be done, but must also be seen to be done. Take a football match as an example. If the referee secretly corrects the scoreboard, even if he ultimately gets the score right, he will still be called a cheater by everyone. The same holds true for judicial trials. Justice must be visible, and the way it is seen is through fair procedures. Fair judicial procedures mean that throughout the adjudication of a case, legal procedures must be strictly followed to ensure the rights of all parties are fully protected, and evidence is examined objectively and comprehensively. Like the gears of a precision instrument, each component must mesh perfectly for the entire judicial system to operate smoothly and safeguard the fairness and justice. The starting point of the fairness of judicial procedures is the standardized case filing stage. When parties come to court to submit their claims, court staff must act as scrupulous gatekeepers. They need to meticulously review litigation materials according to legal procedures, accurately register case information, and serve the litigation documents on the defendant within the prescribed time limits. Next is the court investigation stage, which is the main battlefield for uncovering the truth of the case. In this process, no key evidence should be overlooked, and no reasonable query from any party should be ignored. Only in this way can the fog of uncertainty be dispelled, facts ascertained, and a solid foundation laid for the subsequent judgment. The courtroom debate stage is the arena where the arguments of both sides collide intensely. Both parties have equal opportunities to present their case, and the judge attentively listens to every statement. Following the rigorous procedures, the case moves into the panel deliberation and the judgment pronouncement stage. The judges sit together like experienced artisans, conducting an in-depth analysis of the case. They comprehensively weigh the evidence, facts, and legal provisions, deliberate repeatedly, and ultimately draft the judgment document and pronounce it publicly. Procedural fairness permeates the entire judicial process, from the first gate of case filing to the final step of judgment. Each stage is closely interconnected and indispensable. It acts as a set of scales, measuring the fairness and the justice of the judiciary and ensuring that the adjudication of every case can withstand the test of time. Secondly, judicial outcomes must be just. Alongside procedural fairness, the outcomes of judicial proceedings must also be just. This necessitates that judicial organs in handling cases base their judgments on facts and adhere to the rule of law, thus delivering impartial decisions, These decisions must be characterized by the accurate application of the law, clear findings of the fact, and verdicts that are both reasonable and lawful. Every judicial decision should withstand scrutiny by both law and history. Only through just outcomes can case disputes be effectively resolved, lawbreakers properly punished, and victims rightfully compensated. In mathematics, 100 minus 1 is 99. However, in judicial adjudication, one must realize that 100 minus 1 can equal 0. A single wrongful conviction can destroy the credibility built by 99 fair rulings. An error with the smallest chance can have the greatest impact on the victims. Francis Bacon once said, "One foul sentence does more hurt than many foul examples. For these do but corrupt the stream, the other corrupteth the fountain." Thus, impartial administration of justice is not about a fair handling of individual cases. It is fundamentally about upholding the public credibility of the entire judicial system. Next, we will focus on advancing impartial administration of justice. Promoting social fairness and justice is the core value pursued in judicial work. As socialism with Chinese characteristics entered a new era, the principal challenge facing our society has changed. We must strive to meet the people's growing demands in areas such as democracy, the rule of law, fairness, justice, security, and environmental protection. Making the people feel fairness and justice in every judicial case is the objective of judicial organs. The following 3 measures are taken to advance impartial administration of justice. First, implementing the concept of justice for the people. The people-centered philosophy consistently runs through the entire process of governing the country by law. To promote impartial administration of justice, it is essential to uphold the principle of justice for the people. We need to rely on the people to advance justice and safeguard their rights through fair judicial processes. This philosophy is best understood through a vivid case, circuit courts. Unlike the impression of foreign courts as mysterious and aloof, judges in China make themselves accessible to truly implement the principle of justice for the people, said Professor Yang Lixing from Renmin University of China. From the very founding of the People's Republic of China, its judicial practice has carried the mission to serve the people. Wherever the people are, legal services will follow. In remote, mountainous areas that were hard to reach, judges traversed rugged mountain paths, carrying the national emblem and the case files on horseback. They built a bridge between justice and the people. They walked along the muddy paths, entered the shabby houses, and conducted on-site investigations at the very locations where disputes arose. They set up makeshift tables and chairs in simple village clearings, hung the solemn national emblem, and held court sessions right on the spot to adjudicate cases. This practice stands as a vivid testament to advancing impartial justice and implementing the concept of justice for the people. By proactively bringing judicial resources to the grassroots, circuit courts have turned the idea of a Supreme Court at the people's doorstep into a reality. This effectively addressed the problem of difficult access to justice in remote regions. From being physically close to the people to entering their hearts, the courts embody the principle of justice for the people. In grassroots governance, circuit courts also play a role in legal education. The Guandu Court in Yunnan Province moved its circuit court to a local village, where it held a public hearing on a case of dangerous driving. This approach combined trial proceedings with legal education, allowing residents to experience justice at zero distance, and turning real cases into vivid public law lessons. After the hearing, judges explained the law through the case, answered the villagers' questions one by one, and provided legal education tailored to their daily lives. This model, combining justice and education, transforms legal knowledge into practical wisdom and reduces social conflicts at the source. Between 2015 and 2025, circuit courts across the country concluded over 80,000 cases. Cases that stand the test of time and instances of patient and empathetic conflict resolution reinforce the public's deep trust in fairness and justice. Next, legal aid system and the people's assessor system. The legal aid system breaks down economic barriers. It enables vulnerable groups to stand equally before the law without the fear of prohibitive costs or lack of legal expertise, thus securing the opportunity to defend their rights. The People's Assessor System similarly offers a vivid illustration of the profound meaning behind justice for the people. The participation of the people in the administration of justice is a vital component of the judicial system of socialism with Chinese characteristics. Selected from ordinary citizens in their communities, people's assessors bring their down-to-earth life experience and intuitive sense of fairness and justice into the solemn courtroom. They may not be legal experts, but they represent the broadest public sentiment. They act as a bridge between the judiciary and the people, transforming the people from mere observers into active participants in the judicial process. They also make judicial rulings reflect public sentiment and enhance credibility. Through these distinct systems, the judiciary is rooted firmly among the people, truly realizing the principle that justice is administered by the people and for the people. Second, upholding judicial transparency. Judicial transparency is a fundamental principle of the rule of law. It is consistently upheld throughout China's rule of law development process. The more transparent law enforcement and judicial activities are, the greater their authority and credibility become. Judicial transparency encompasses multiple dimensions. It includes the disclosure of court judgments, transparency in trial procedures, publication of enforcement information, and openness of trials. These transparency initiatives make judicial activities more visible and significantly enhance judicial credibility. Taking the openness of trials as an example, which carries unique value and profound significance. Zhou Qiang, Chief Justice of the Supreme People's Court, emphasized open access to court hearing videos represents the most intensive and thorough form of judicial openness in the Internet era, and constitutes a higher form of justice under sunlight. By opening trials to the public, the courtroom adjudication process becomes accessible for the public to participate in the judicial process. Traditional open trials were constrained by physical space, achieving only on-site justice with limited public attendance. Today, technological advancements have enabled live trial broadcasts to become both visible and immediate. This helps break the limits of space and time, allowing public engagement and oversight of the judiciary. Through live broadcasts, we witness vigorous debates between parties, transparent presentation of evidence, and full articulation of viewpoints. The whole process is under public scrutiny. Such transparent proceedings not only safeguard litigants' rights, but also allow the public to witness the entire adjudication to judgment process, fostering a tangible appreciation of judicial fairness. The public release of court judgments is another pivotal measure to achieve judicial transparency. On July 1, 2013, the launch of the China Judgments Online marked a milestone in judicial transparency. Not only can the public access judgments online, but global communities also utilize this platform to stay informed about China's judicial landscape. As of August 17, 2025, the Supreme People's Court has publicly released 7,687 cases. Nationwide, over 23.4 million cases have been made public, and court hearing transparency websites have recorded over 90 billion visits. Additionally, the People's Courts continuously explore new ways in judicial transparency, offering more channels to support public oversight, legal education, academic research, litigation services for lawyers, and case handling for judges. For example, they have established regularized data release mechanisms, publish major judicial statistics quarterly. They have also launched a publicly accessible national judicial case database, effectively responding to society's growing demand for deeper levels of judicial transparency. Moreover, they have built and opened the Fada.net platform across all 4 court levels, routinely publishing curated Q&As from the platform. To promote fair justice, we should also ensure the independent exercise of judicial and procuratorial power in accordance with the law. By implementing facts as the basis and the law as the criterion in substance, we can achieve organic unity of law, reason, and emotion. With the help of procedural fairness, we can guarantee the fairness of the entity so that fairness and justice can be better achieved. At the same time, we must deepen the reform of the judicial system. This includes implementing the judicial responsibility system, establishing a judicial personnel management system that is tailored to its characteristics, and strengthening the constraints and supervision of judicial power. In this way, judicial power is put in the cage of the system, operating under proper oversight. In conclusion, through these practices, the judiciary not only pursues fairness in verdicts, but also emphasizes accessibility and transparency throughout the process. It ensures that people can feel the power of justice in every judicial case. This represents not only the implementation of the principle of judicial fairness, but also a profound embodiment of the spirit of socialist rule of law.